Hello everyone, my name is Amber Jacobs, and for my author-illustrator comparison presentation, I chose to do authors James Dean and Laura Numeroff. The reason I chose these two authors is that they are currently the writers of my children's two favorite book series, and they both enjoy having these read to them and are currently reading them on their own. My daughter in kindergarten is currently using these books to sound out her sight words in school. And the books from these two authors represent the picture book and graphic novel genre. These are for the 4 to 8-year-old range. These books can serve multiple roles, both as read-alouds between children and adults, and as beginning reading material for first-time readers. The 6 books I chose for the comparison presentation are Pete the Cat, Too Cool for School, Pete the Cat, Pete's Big Lunch, and Pete the Cat's Train Trip by James Dean, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, If You Give a Cat a Cupcake, and If You Give a Dog a Donut by Laura Numeroff. The reason these books fall into the picture book and graphic novel genre are the topics are interesting, relatable, and engaging to children. For example, in Pete the Cat, Too Cool for School, Pete is concerned about looking cool for his friends. Also, for example, if you give a cat a cupcake, it combines two of my daughter's favorite things, cats and cupcakes, which makes it more fun and relatable for her to read. These books also avoid stereotyping, as all the books utilize animals as the main characters, so children don't characterize a group of people having certain behaviors and features. The illustrations are also appropriate in complexity in relation to the stories. For example, in the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, each time the mouse receives something new, the illustration corresponds to what the mouse had asked for. And lastly, there's an appropriate amount of text in all the books. No page exceeds 2 sentences, and it makes it much easier for beginning readers because the words are short and easy to sound out. Now for some fun facts and a brief history about my two authors. I will start with James Dean. James Dean was born December 17th, 1957 in Fort Payne, Alabama. His original passion was art, as he first started drawing in the first grade, but after watching his family struggle so much financially, he did have a change of heart and decided to go to Auburn University to eventually obtain a degree in electrical engineering. After the course of his 20 years at Georgia Power Supply, Dean decided to quit his job to pursue his original love for art full-time. In 1999, James adopted a little black kitten and named him Pete. After becoming very emotionally attached to Pete, James decided to start drawing Pete the Cat. While his kitten was originally black, James decided to paint him blue as to avoid the stereotype all black cats are bad luck. Pete served as an inspiration which eventually led Dean to publish his first adult book in 2006 called Misadventures of Pete the Cat. Pete the Cat would then be reimagined as a children's book series, of which there are over currently 60 published, the first of which was written and illustrated by Dean in 2013 called Pete the Cat and His Magic Sunglasses. He currently resides in Savannah, Georgia, with his wife Kimberly, their 5 cats, and a pug named Emma. Now for my next author, Laura Numeroff. Fun fact, she shares the same birthday as my oldest son. She was born July 14th, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. She is the youngest of 3 girls and always had a love for reading. Laura dreamed of becoming a writer at the age of 9 and was heavily influenced by her 2 favorite childhood books, Stuart Little and Eloise. But in high school, Laura had a change of heart and decided to follow in her older sister's footsteps to become a fashion designer. She went and applied to Pratt Institute and had a change of heart and realized that's not what she wanted to do and switched to communications. In her last semester in college, she took a writing class and graduated with a degree in communications and a contract for her first book called Amy for Short. Her most popular series, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, has sold over 4.5 million copies, with the original have been published in 1985. She is a New York Best Time-selling author and a winner of the prestigious Quill Award. Laura also is very philanthropist by donating a portion of her book royalties to First Book, which is a nonprofit organization that provides brand new books to children who would not otherwise have access to them, and also to the Susan B. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. She also works with service dogs and kids with disabilities. There are many characteristics of Dean's and Numeroff works that are similar. For starters, the intended age ranges for the stories is 4 to 8-year-old children, and they fall into the picture book genre. We know these things to be true by examining the literature. In Pete the Cat's Train Trip, there is a passage that reads, "Pete sees his mom and Bob. They are at the snack bar." This use of simple single-syllable words is indicative of a book geared towards younger children. Additionally, there is a big illustration of them at the snack bar to reinforce what was written. Likewise, in If You Give a Dog a Donut, the book describes a scene with the sentence, "He'll hit a home run," accompanied by a picture of a dog hitting a home run. Also, as I mentioned previously, the main character in each book is an animal. In the case of Dean, a cat named Pete, and for Numeroff, a mouse, cat, and dog. These animals possess the general characteristics of people and are often portrayed as though they were children. For instance, in both Pete the Cat, Too Cool for School, and If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, both Pete and the mouse attend school. Doing this helps children relate to the character without generalizing their actions to a specific group or type of people. The main character is the focal point in the story, with all action revolving around them, and the books are written from the third-person point of view. Both authors attempt to teach a lesson to children through their literature, but they differ on what they are trying to do and how they do it. Dean uses a problem-solution methodology in which he introduces a problem the main character encounters and how they resolve it, ultimately learning a lesson along the way. In Pete the Cat, Pete's Big Lunch, Pete makes a sandwich that is too big for him to eat. Unsure of what to do, he decides to call his friends and have them come over to share it with him. The book ends with Pete saying sharing is cool, or in Pete the Cat, Too Cool for School, Pete is worried about looking cool for school and asks all his friends for advice on what to wear. It isn't until Pete puts on what he likes that he feels cool, which teaches children to be yourself and don't follow the crowd. On the other hand, Numeroff's books use a cause and effect methodology, which completes a circle by the end of the book. And If You Give a Cat a Cupcake, the book opens with a girl offering a cupcake to a cat. Once receiving the cupcake, the cat then asks for sprinkles to go with it. On and on the book goes until eventually ending with the cat asking for another cupcake. Along the way, the cat does something based on the previous thing he asked for. The sprinkles lead to the beach, which leads to building sandcastles, and etc. This methodology teaches children that their actions have consequences, and even though sometimes they may do seems well intended, it may have an outcome they hadn't anticipated.